Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Campbell.
It takes more fight, more heart, more grit. And at this point, I think we have to talk about how well this defense is actually doing without Hutchinson. I understand that we gave up a lot of yards between the 20s, but that's what this defense was built on. That's what the 4-2-5 does. And let's give it up right now. My player of the game 100% was Khalif Raymond. 16 yards away from breaking Devin Hester's in a game punt return yardage record. He had 190. Oh, we all love how the Bears lost. We get to clown on it all day. Tyreek Stevenson looking at the crowd when the play started, waving at him, talking shit, to turn around and tip the ball to the opposing receiver for the game-winning touchdown. Oof, what a bad look. He had a great game before that moment. Just proof you don't celebrate too early. I say it was more of a complete game on special teams than the defense overall. The first quarter was abysmal. We gave up 100 yards to Ridley right off the rip to shut him down the rest of the game for the most part. We forced 4 turnovers. Trevor Nowoski had the first interception of the game. Raymond was electric. I can't explain it. Oh, the Cowboys losing? Did I not call it? That made the Honolulu Blue flu real. The Dallas Cowboys had a bye. So this is their first game after they played us. And they fell apart. It started with a pick right off the bat to give San Francisco a field goal. And they never recovered. Yes, happy Frappy Monday. You know it. I know, Joseph Eston. Believe it or not, we on the run game, no, but we actually had more pressures than you thought, Jim Jackson. James Houston was credited for 2 sacks because he bull rushed the left tackle into the quarterback a couple of times. Uh, the practice squad player that everybody complained was going to be starting, Muhammad, He had 6 pressures. Levi Onwuzurike had 5 pressures. DJ Reader had 2 pressures. Aleem McNeil had 4 pressures. We had almost 20 pressures in this game from the front 4, and nobody's talking about it. Oh, 100%. But we're also talking about a team that still might be the number 1 defense for yardage, but no longer in the top 10 for scoring. The Titans were the 8th scoring defense against because they were losing close games because the offense was so bad. We monopolized on those 4 turnovers. We monopolized on flipping the field between kick returns and punt returns. Uh, James Houston got no sacks. Oh, I know. We got the second hardest schedule to end the season, and I'm not worried about it either. I think the only games that we're going to struggle with is on the road in Houston, and on the road this week in Green Bay. That's going to be a tough game with or without Love, because remember, now they'll be scheming with Willis like they did before, and they're 2-0 with Willis. Now, granted, they played bad teams at the time, and it was a good time for Love to be hurt. This is not a good time for Love to be hurt. If that groin injury is serious, we have to figure out a way to contain a mobile quarterback, and without legit ends that can contain. Because let's face it, we didn't contain Mason Rudolph at all. Uh, Jack Campbell, they complained about him being out of position on a play action pass. What does a play action do? If you're running, the eyeball test says Brad gets edge help. Oh, 100%, because we didn't get a lot of sacks. But what we did get was way more pressures than anybody realized. If we come out of the next 2 games 1-1 and we're sitting at 7-2, is anybody complaining? Josh Pascal had cancer his rookie year. For his groin injury, they found cancer and he was treated for it that year. That's why he never played. And then in year 2, he was dealing with rehab, which is why he every time he got that's why it always said illness on the report. And 5 out of 5 in the red zone was huge. I mean, let's face it, net yards for Goff was 85 yards with 3 touchdowns, and we had a perfect throw from David Montgomery to Sam Laporta looking like he was fresh out of high school playing backyard football. Nope, 7-2 is just fine. Now, I think we can beat the Packers. Um, we saw their tackling woes come up. They couldn't tackle Bigsby. They couldn't tackle Brian Thomas. Right, I understand that, but it was literally a play action pass when Jack Campbell's guy was the running back. The running back ran one way, and we hit Ridley he hit Ridley on the other side, and there was 2 missed tackles, one by a corner, and I think he juked Nowoski out of his shoes on that. So somebody said, "Well, Jack Campbell was out." Oh yeah, 8-1 will be better. I get you. Oh yes, he did. It was a pretty ball, spiral and everything, right to him. High enough a defender couldn't get it, and right to just high enough that Sam Laporta could high point the ball. It was great. But this defense, after the first quarter, basically shut them down. Uh, the only the only team that's going to take the number 1 seed from the Lions is the Lions. If Brad is sitting here and thinking, okay, we manufactured pressures for 2 games and got some sacks, and we're good enough to win out, and we don't make a move, it'll come back to bite us. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I understand that, but Nowoski got juked out of his shoes. Then Arnold got missed the tackle. Then Branch missed as well. I mean, I think Branch hit him, but didn't finish out. It worked out great in the end. But Nowoski with a big play to start us off, which got us our first touchdown. Don't forget about that. The interception on their first drive. Again, we made a team chase us. And then after their second touchdown, we didn't allow them to score another one. Oh, we all say that. We all say they have to make a move. But at the same time, we don't know what they're talking about in that front office. So while we all say, yes, they have to make a move. Yes, they have to do this. Yes, they have to do that. I know it will. But with the injuries we've had, and Rodrigo luckily dodged the serious. I said, they held Josh Uche out for a reason. He was a healthy scratch when he has been playing decent for the Patriots defense this year, and they won without him. I think he's being moved. And I heard it's us and another team that's in the trade talks. So I think Josh Uche, it's no guarantee we get Hutch back at the Super Bowl. It's a 55% shot. It was great seeing Hutch watch the game and him reacting. You could see he wanted to hop up on his braced up leg, and he can't. He wanted to jump up and dance. It was great seeing that on the House of Hutch Instagram. Well, I already know Mosley is back practicing, and if Kaminsky returns this week, we should get both of them by Thanksgiving. So don't forget, we're going to be adding a rotational player without trading for anybody in 4 weeks. And we're going to add another rotational defensive back because Mosley's not expected to be our number one anymore. He's just a rotational guy. And if he's only coming in rotation, who knows? Maybe he can stay healthy. Maybe he can't. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know. He got hurt in practice in training camp this year, and it was a torn pec, ripping the ball on an interception, no less. I want to explain this. How he tore his pec was he ripped the ball out of Amon-Ra St. Brown's hand, guys. Did you guys know this? If he is still just not quite there from being able to be taken off the IR, we might not have him for another 3 or 4 weeks yet, or even the season. I know who can't come back. That's Marcus Davenport and Derek Barnes, and it sucks. But with this Rodrigo ankle injury, that's why Harold Landry makes a lot of sense. He can play D end and outside linebacker. I would love to see him here. He has Hassan Reddick numbers and isn't touted like Hassan Reddick. I believe he was okay because he played most of the game. Hey, we had a whole quarter from Hendon Hooker, guys. I understand our secondary should be good, but who would you rather have out there? A fully healthy Mosley or Kindle Vildor and Dorsey in coverage? Just a hypothetical there, guys. And when he comes back, that it begs the question on who you send down. And for me, it's Vildor because he has no special teams value. Yes, just having Hutch in the stadium was fantastic. It was great seeing the videos on House of Hutch and him being there. Yes, Barnes and Davenport are out for the year. They won't be back till next preseason in the off season. Both of them had surgery. If he's still recovering and doing the regular rehab to get to where he can rehab with the team, he hasn't been at the facility yet. I understand that. That's what I'm saying, Harpazo. And so is Barnes. Both of them were put on the season-ending IR. And this is the week we have to decide. I think it's either tomorrow if we move Christian Mahogany to the active roster, which means we have to demote somebody. Is that why they left 52? No, he's not on the trade block. They've told us this, Joseph Austin. That's your assumption. Hendon is here to be the best backup in the NFL, is what they said. Fans assume that they're trading Houston or Hooker. They're not. I think Houston is the throw-in player in any trade. He is awful. We just need to get rid of him. We might have to throw an extra pick just to get rid of him. For me, if I'm trying to get Arden Key and Harold Landry from the Titans, I might send them next year's third, this year's fifth, and next year's seventh, and James Houston just to get them both. Because Landry can do dual positions, defensive end and linebacker. Arden Key, we saw what he was doing to Decker. He made him look foolish in that first half. Yeah, and the Browns owner said Garrett's not on the table. Mark Davis sent an email across the league saying, I'm not trading Crosby, so stop asking. He sent it to every GM and every owner in the league. So that's out the window. The Browns owner basically said the same thing about Myles Garrett. He's a piece we're going to build around. And plus, they won this weekend. I think that stops the trade talks because they're still in the running in that division where nobody's running away with it. Ravens lost to the Browns. They have a 3-loss record now. But you know what that does? Because he's undefeated, he'll still be number one. Mahomes is at 1, Goff is at 2. Lamar now fell to 3 or 4. I think Josh Allen moved up ahead of him to 3. I think that's your 4 MVP candidates right now for the top 4. Remember, it's a popularity contest. Hendon's not supposed to impress anybody. That's what I'm telling you, Joseph Austin. He was never on the trade block. Everybody wants to throw Hendon Hooker on the trade block, and it's not happening. Jameis Winston. And I'm going to tell you this right now because I looked it up. Even though it takes 6 to 8 weeks before you can be outside after LASIK surgery, do you know the internal parts of the eyes that were burnt? They actually do not heal for almost 2 to 3 years. It's been 3 years since his LASIK surgery, and he looks surgical out there for the Browns. So maybe his eyes are finally right. Some people heal slower, some people heal faster. Yeah, the Honolulu flu is real. Like I said, Dallas was on the bye. This was their first game after the bye week. The first game after they played us. What happened? They lost. Granted, it was the lowest margin of victory of any of the teams that lost after getting beat by us. Is what it is. Smoking Dad and Buddy Conquitos here. What? But let's see. My studs of the game. I got Trevor Nowoski, Alex Anzalone, and Kirby on defense. My studs on offense. Goff, David Montgomery, and Khalif. My studs on special team, Khalif Raymond, Jack Fox, and Khalil Dorsey. Khalil, maybe Dallas should go on a fire sale. We've been saying that, but they can't afford to because everybody that they got that's good is either on a rookie contract. He's had his chances to shine, and he's looked like Shinola. You can spit shine a turd; it's still a turd, Carpazzo. Houston is washed. I'm sorry, guys. I just haven't seen enough. Just because he got 2 pressures in a game, woo, hold me back. Yes, I forgot about Gibbs. Gibbs is on there too for offense, 100%. I already said that. We don't put our backups in until it's so far out of touch, you don't have to worry about a comeback in a quarter. That's what it is, Brian Stover. Say what you want. That's why we did what we did. Goff is doing great. Yep, absolutely, Fred Peterson. And I agree. I said that as much already. I'm more than concerned. I've said he's been washed since offseason. I kept saying he should not have made the roster, that we kept the wrong player. I wanted Uku or Betts on this roster, and my opinion, it was Betts. Uku is fine because he's unknown and a rookie, whereas Betts played in the NFL, went to the CFL, and then came back to the NFL to be with the Lions. That $10 bet for Goff for MVP right now at 1,250 to 1 odds, looking pretty good. And I waited to do it till I heard Ben Johnson was staying. Oh yeah, 100%. I haven't said anything but. So now we're up to 20 touchdowns. No, wait, excuse me. How many offense? We had what? Four offensive touchdowns? Five offensive touchdowns now, right? So that would put us at 23 and 19 incompletions so far in the last 5 games. I thought he had more than two passes. Let me look. Yeah, we had 61 net yards, but it says here he threw for 85 and three touchdowns. Monty had a passing touchdown, so that's four. We had two rushing touchdowns, that's five. So that's six. We had six offensive touchdowns, so that's 24 to 19. He had 85 yards passing and three touchdowns. That's after the sacks were taken out. But as the team, because the penalty yardage comes off of that too, it ended up being a total of 61 yards and 164 yards rushing. What it doesn't tell you is if you add in our special teams yardage. So he had 190 plus 72. So that's another 262 return yards total. Jack Fox had another five punts, 305 yards for a 61-yard average, or 305 yards, excuse me. Punts inside the 20 was three. We gave them long fields and stopped them after the first quarter. I think Kirby Joseph was the only one with a pick. Anzalone had the only sack. Terrion Arnold was our highest. Our highest tackler was seven. Anzalone was second, tied with Branch. But if you go for total tackles, Jack Campbell had 5 plus 5 assisted. That's a total of 10 tackles. Kirby Joseph has 5 plus 1 assisted. That's 6. Other than that, DJ Reader was 1 and 1, so that's 2. Ennis Rakestraw and James Houston was our lowest ranked defenders. Why? He had 2 assisted tackles and 2 nick pressures. But let's go to PFF and see what it says because that ranking's out. Top offensive players was Jameer Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brock Wright. Bottom offensive players was Kevin Zietler, Tim Patrick, and Allen Robinson. Top defensive players, Levi Onwuzurike, Kirby Joseph, and Aleem McNeil. Bottom players, and this is where I'm going to disagree with it. It says Ennis Rakestraw, defensive tackle Pat O'Connor, who was awful, by the way, and Alex Anzalone. Yeah, it kind of does, Harpazzo, but it wasn't in the same game. It only makes up for it in the same game. I yes, I know, Dad. I saw that, and he slowed down and cut back and allowed the guy behind him to catch him. I said it too. Do you agree with those PFF rankings there? That Alex Anzalone should be in the worst bottom defenders, and James Houston isn't on that list, and Bates is still perfect on field goals, 11 for 11 on the season. Because think about this: if he didn't have that fumble for six, we whooped the shit out of the Vikings. Jake the Snake was offered again. Yes, awesome. You know what we do on Victory Mondays here on Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B? Does everybody remember what we do? Yeah, I don't agree with it either. Anzalone didn't miss a tackle the whole game. I think, and he had our only sack, and it was a good sack too. That wasn't a coverage sack, guys. Remember, he knifed through right behind Aleem. Cowboys almost got them Niners. I knew they wouldn't. They're suffering the Honolulu Blue Flu. It was their first game after we beat them, Brian. So that's two teams we absolutely demolished this year. Those were statement games, boys. It's despite all the offensive woes for Tennessee, that's the number one yardage defense, and they're probably still there because they only gave up 250 something to us, unless you add in the total yards of special teams. Add that 262 to it. We had over 500 yards against the number one offense in the league and the eighth scoring defense in the league. Yes, Buddy Conquito, you're absolutely right. He is a field position machine. And those are my three players: Fox, Bates, Raymond. Hands down. Dave Phipps was the coach of the day because if we didn't flip the field on kickoff returns and those punt returns on top of the turnovers, it it wouldn't have been a pretty day. Calvin Ridley was having his way with us. Amen, Jim Jackson. I love it. Cowboys overrated as well as the rest of the league. One pride. So I'm wearing the camo again. You know what that means? War week. You know who we got next. I'm going to be doing deep dives into some stats and see where we match up good, better, or worse, and give an honest opinion on Friday, like I always do. And I said, no matter what happened this Sunday, we were winning this game, whether it was a good game or a bad game, because that offense isn't enough to beat us. I said, Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Will Levis, and it showed, but we're better than that team. They were missing D Hop. They were missing Ernest Jones. Both of them went away in a trade. Our special teams is becoming a weapon, same as Hanson and Gray were years ago. Yeah, I agree. It has been a weapon. And if you remember right, I think it was 2014. We had a good special teams coach then. John Bonamego, who ended up leaving to go to CMU. Lions are favored by 3.5. So the home team automatically gets 3, and the Lions are favored by 3.5. That's a 6.5 point. So it's a less than a tutty game. It's still a flip 'em. I'm taking the Lions. Man, I'll do a parlay. Hey, and I've been out of work and I barely been working lately due to my back. It still hurts right now. That's why I'm sitting up like this and not sitting back. I don't want to put pressure on it. But I put out 4 different $5 parlay bets on this game alone. Nothing else. I hit on 2 and lost on 2. I did 2 that I thought would happen, including a touchdown from one of the Tennessee players on it. I cashed it out because all 3 of our guys got it and they offered me half the money. So a $5 bet got me 150 instead of 300. And then I did another $5 bet and won 85 straight up. And all I did was say David Montgomery, Laporta, and Khalif Raymond touchdown anytime in the game. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I got money to get me through the week. If if the big one would have hit my 6-leg parlay, y'all would have been seeing some shit. I'd have went out and bought something out at the store. I wouldn't have waited for it to be delivered. Because I had a $5 bet that was supposed to win me 1,500 and another one that was supposed to win me 8. Because I went stupid. And the long shots were coming through. That's the crazy thing. The one sure bet I thought I had was a Saquon Barkley touchdown. That didn't come through. David Montgomery did. Derrick Henry did. But Jalen Hurts got greedy on the goal line again like he always does. Audibled into the tush push. That's why I don't like his rushing touchdowns. Nine out of 10 of them come from the 1 yard line. Now look at that game when Monty got stopped and the whole old line just picked him up and floated him another 6 yards. That's better than the tush push. That was the bro, bro hug carry, whatever the hell you want to call it. The bro throw. That's what it was. David Montgomery was acting like, he was like, dude, it was like I was floating. It was crazy. Well, everybody's still mad about it. Let's make them remember. Oh, I agree, Jim Jackson. We're 2 pieces away right now, and that's because both of them got hurt. Uh, I I have an order on that for the non-Q quarterbacks. It could be our QB3, Brian Stover, and David Montgomery is number 4. It's Jack Fox at 3, David Montgomery at 4, and Tom Kennedy at 5. All of them played quarterback at one point or another in high school. And there's somebody that has yet to throw a ball in a game yet that if he's healthy, maybe we'll see it this week on a trick play because he does play fullback at times, and Malcolm Rodriguez. Everybody forgets when he was in high school at Wayland High School in Oklahoma, he actually played on an Ironman football team. He was the quarterback, the punter, the kicker, and the safety on an Ironman football team and played 91% of the snaps on both sides of the ball. That's amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, forget from. Who? You called State Farm? Jake from State Farm? Well, he's on the practice squad. We have lots of QBs on our roster. 100%. Gibbs was a wide receiver. Um, Kirby Joseph was a wide receiver. Brian Branch was a running back or a quarterback. I can't remember. No, I mean running back or wide receiver. Terry Arnold played running back. I heard that we dodged the bullet. It's nothing serious, but he may miss a week or two at most. He's a day-to-day decision. So, but at the same time, if he's not 100%, that's why that we should make that move with the Titans today. I would get Arden Key, Harold Landry, send them our next year's third, our next 2026 third, our 2026 seventh, and our 2025 fifth to get both those players and throw Houston in the trade. They're a dumpster fire anyways. Dump them to them and they can cut them. And maybe James Mitchell. Yeah, give him too. They need help more on the offense than defense. Their defense doesn't seem to miss a beat, missing good players. So let me look at those stats again. I want to add that up. So 262 plus 225. 262 plus 225. That's 487 total yards manufactured against them. We only had the ball for 24 minutes. They had 8 penalties for 60 yards. They had 71 total offensive plays. We had 47. They were 3 for 11. We were 3 for 9. They had 23 first downs. We had 17. They averaged 5.9 yards per play. We averaged 4.8. You know what those stats remind me of? Think about it for a second. What does that remind you of? Moonscar, thanks for coming in. That reminds me of when we played Tampa Bay, but the score was a lot closer. Where we had all the yards and the time of possession and all the first downs and all the good efficiency stats, but not the one that mattered most, red zone production, which is what mattered most in this game. So while they did all that, their red zone efficiency, they were 1 of 5. We were 5 of 5. That's the biggest difference of the game. Red zone efficiency and turnovers. They had 2 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions thrown. It doesn't show who got the other interception. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Oh, Nowoski and Kirby. But I thought Anzalone was our player of the game on defense. Him and Kirby, and then throw in Nowoski. And the one interception that went to Kirby, that's because Nowoski knifed through the line and had a pressure, and everybody forgot about it. He damn near had a sack. But Mason's a little bigger and well built of a quarterback than what Will Levis is. Levis dealing with that shoulder, they looked a little more fluid on offense than they had with Levis. It's just they're awful. So according to DetroitLions.com, first down offensive explosion. 52 points is tied for the second most in franchise history. Over their last 4 games, Detroit scored 172 points and 22 touchdowns. This marks the most points and touchdowns they've scored in any 4-game span in a single season. 6 different players. David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs, Brock Wright, Amir St. Brown, Laporta, and Khalif Raymond scored an offensive touchdown. And Raymond also found one in the special teams, as we all know. But we've had a 9-point against us, and now 14. Oh, it was stupid. I agree. That was their fault. They should have at least taken a field goal to make it look presentable. And don't forget, we had a penalty on somebody that gave him a first down at the 1. I think it was Davis, if I remember right. You realize Kirby Joseph is the first safety to record 5 interceptions in a season since Glover Quinn? Yeah, it's way different than the Steve McNair days. Hell, it's way different than the Marcus Mariota days. Marcus Mariota torched the Lions the last time we played them. Everybody forgets that. I'm all about a Lions win, and anytime we shut a running game down, I'm happy with it. Pollard had 94 yards and 0 touchdowns. Chestnut had 32. Mason Rudolph had 29, but he did have a touchdown. That is the one that pissed me off. And Calvin Ridley had 3 yards rushing where Branch sniffed it out and stuffed him right at the line. That was beautiful. But 10 catches for 143 yards, and 8 of them was in the first quarter for Ridley. And I don't know who that Westbrook kid is, but hey, he stepped in for D-Hop and was a red zone target. But 2 picks and 2 fumbles was huge. McCreary had a sack, Arden Key had 2, and Jeffrey Simmons had 1. So they had 4 sacks against us. Second game in a row, our O-line had 4 sacks in a row. It is what it is. We can't be perfect. There's a little flaw here or there, but somebody always picks the other side up. Got to run, JB. Headed to the tree stand. Go Lions. Packers suck. LOL. Well, let's talk about the most embarrassing loss in NFC North history last night. Tariq Stevenson standing on the 2-yard line, clowning Commanders fans. Turns around and sees the plays happening. Runs over there to help his team. Tips the ball right to the opposing wide receiver in the end zone. Moral of the story, don't celebrate too early. Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams at this point, and I'll tell you why. And it had nothing to do with the fourth quarter and that last touchdown. Through 3 quarters, Caleb Williams threw for 35 freaking yards. Jaden Daniels threw for 276. Neither one of them had thrown a touchdown at that point. 35 yards to 276. Enough said. Does that not take the cake right there? Does that not decide for you in heads up play? But all I heard was Well, Bears defense is better. We're going to shut them down. Caleb Williams is going to be this season's MVP. Oh, I know. I caught that vibe too. And here's what I got to say to the Bears fans now. Every time I hear that, I think of like the Munchkins from Wizard of Oz dancing around a tree or something, making fun of somebody. And let's talk about the guy that's known as Nostradamus in the NFC North, the huddle group. Paul Merkel. The Titans are 6-0 in their last in all of their meetings versus the Lions. I predict they're going to win 30-27 over the Lions because they're overrated. I hope we plant the flag right over that big G in the middle of the field, and Amon Ra wipes his butt on the goalpost and pulls a Randy Moss. Everybody's like, well, what's this offense going to look like without Demo? Didn't need him. So far there has been no word, but we do know it's a groin injury is why he left. But if you saw prior to him going out with the groin injury, it looks like he might have re-injured that MCL sprain. I think they rushed him back. I think it was a big mistake. And he threw another pick and without a touchdown. So he does have 15 touchdowns on the season, which is kind of league leading. But he also has 9 picks. The only guy ahead of him right now is Dak Prescott. Congratulations, Dak. You're the best at something, throwing the ball to the other team. And if it's Malik Willis, we got to look at the game films from weeks 2 and 3 to see what they did with Malik Willis and what he's good at. Well, I did see one thing he's good at. He's really good at running the ball. He's really good at short to intermediate throws and checkdowns. That improved from his game from what I saw in college. He became more of a game manager with a running ability, if you want, per se, from what I saw. And I think that's a testament to Matt LaFleur, who's a good offensive minded coach. I've seen over the last 2 weeks, the Packers tackling has gotten better, but yet it isn't quite there yet because Tank Bigsby was running through some people. I expect Monty to do the same. Jair Alexander looks like he's fully healed and actually back to playing good ball again. Remember, they just held CJ Stroud to 85 yards passing in a game, and Tank held 0 in the fantasy point. No catches. I understand Stephon Diggs went out in that game, blah, 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 everything else. Doesn't matter. I know no Nico Collins. But at the same time, you play what's in front of you. You put your best people on the field. I'm sick and tired of people using injuries as an excuse for a win. Play better. Next man up. Because guess what? We lost what possibly could have been the defensive MVP this year, defensive player of the year. And yet, we haven't lost a game since. Everybody was worried about it, and we haven't lost a game since. It's not the same. Don't get me wrong. And that's because the coaching realizes it. They got to manufacture the pressures. They got to keep the pressure on the other team's quarterback in different ways. We're sending corners and safeties. We're sending linebackers. We're sending the whole D line. Every now and then we drop a guy back in coverage. I told you, you got 5 guys on the offensive line and the quarterback. That's 6 guys you don't have to cover. So if you've got good man coverage guys, You got five men back there. And so far, we've given it up in the 20s and clamped down in the red zone. Why? It's always harder on an offense in the red zone. The only thing that'll beat us is penalties. And so far, Terrion Arnold isn't doing that anymore. That's 3 games in a row without a penalty. Kudos to Terrion Arnold, looking better every week, getting better in pass coverage. And hell, he led the team in solo tackles in 7. Not one assisted tackle in that number. I think he gets an honorable mention as a stud. I'll look at the final PFF grades tomorrow. I'll get them all for us, where they actually give me the PFF grades so I can rank them. Branch didn't have that good of a game either. He looked bad in the first quarter. I'm not going to lie. I was not impressed with Branch the first quarter, but he stepped it back up as the game progressed. He's not perfect. He's human. All of us are. I still think he's one of the best safeties in the league, and Kirby's right there with him. But the fact that Kirby, through 8 games, has as many interceptions as Glover Quinn did, his best year with the Lions with 5, and that was the 2014-15 season when we first acquired him. That's a testament to how good Kirby is. Because everybody loved Glover Quinn. Remember, we hated the fact that Matt Patricia ran him off. We hated that he ran off Slay. We hated that they got snacks to sign and then ran him off. I don't mind him running off Kenny Galladay. He was trash. It is that time. We're going to start from the bottom. And guess who's there again? Fuck the Bears. In third place, now with a 5-2 record. They got skull fucked by the Honolulu Blue Flu and the Rams. At 6-2. A half game behind us. Fuck the Packers. F T P. And in first place, with a 6-1 record, 1-0 in the division, it's the mighty, mighty Lions. And you know what it's time for? Forward down the field, a charging team that will not yield. And when the blue and silver wave, stand and cheer the brave. Rah, 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 go hard, win this game. With honor you will keep your fame. Down the field and gain a Lions victory. Go Lions! And last but not least, I have to give homage to my sponsor. My sponsor is Brandon Service, right at the corner of Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road. Where? In Flint, where the water's shit, but the tires are good. Stop in and check us out. Used tires starting up at $40, $45 and up, depending on size and condition. New tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself on Saturday, possibly tomorrow night too. We will get you your quote. New tires are delivered within 1 to 2 business days. Used tires are usually on hand. And if not, we usually get them in the next day. Our deliveries are Monday through Friday for used tires. Yes, Matt Roman. Rah, rah, rah. 100%. Great game this week. Bring on the Packers. And like I said, right now we have to make our game plan based off of both quarterbacks. Jordan Love struggles under pressure. He makes mistakes and throws bad balls. We've seen it. Malik Willis, it's going to be short to intermediate throws. He might hit somebody deep on a play action, but for the most part, it's going to be first read, second read, check, down, run. That's how he plays. That's what we saw through those 2 weeks. And sometimes it looks like a pass play, and it's a planned QB draw, which means your middle linebacker has to stay home in his zone while everybody else is in man coverage in the backfield. I say this for a reason because when they're in zone and you don't have a crossing route because it's a fly, it looks like a fly pattern. They're trying to get down to stop the DBs from facilitating pressure. Oh, 100% Matt Roman. I want Jordan Love to be healthy. I want to smack them in the mouth. And they're like, "Oh, we've done good. We've done this. We've done that." They have not faced the running attack of David Montgomery and Gibbs. I said it about the Vikings defense. I said it about the Titans defense. I also said it about the Dallas defense because they were suspect of the run, but they had been giving up yards to crappy players. I said, "We're going to run all over them." Same thing with the Seahawks. You know, it's not like we haven't played. I think out of everybody we played, who hasn't been a playoff contender so far? Oh, week 3 was the Seahawks, or week 4 was the week 3 we played Dallas, we played Minnesota, we played the Rams, we played the Bucks. Those are all playoff teams, and that was 5 wins, right? This was our first non-playoff team, and it should have been a beatdown. And I predicted a score of 42-21 because I said Mason Rudolph was a better quarterback than Will Levis, and I expected them to do more. And that was my exact words. I did not expect 52-14 because that defense is good, and I expected them to do something. They did create a turnover. It is what it is. Dallas Cowboys, you want to know who they need? They need Genti from Boise State. They should just lose out the rest of the season and get him. Him or Travis Hunter is what that team needs. And I'd say both of them is what they need, which means if you want to get both of them, no, they did not have an answer for Raymond Maine. Yeah, that is 100%. And that's one thing that the Green Bay does good. They don't allow a lot of return yards. So we're at to see how he does versus them on that because their special teams has been pretty good this year. I I want to give credit where credit is due. Be realistic. Don't go homer on everything. I want to give, but I'm going to do a deep dive into the stats, look at the rankings, and see where we all line up. I mean, we did just give up 400 offensive yards to the Titans, but it was all within the 20s. We clamp down in the red zone and get takeaways, and that's all you got to do to win games. If you win the turnover battle and you win on the scoreboard, does it really matter? So it is what it is. We outrushed them, and our rushers did better. Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way that you make the world a better place, unless you're talking to the rival fan base.